Welcome to London Property Digest, your essential 10-minute audio recap for staying informed on London's property market. Okay, so um, let's just dive right into a story that I think really captures, the, let's say, unique dynamics of the London luxury market. We're talking billionaire property developer Nick Candy selling his One Hyde Park penthouse.
That's us.
But get this, he's publicly complaining about the £161,000 annual service charge. I mean, come on, right?
It is certainly raising eyebrows. And it is fascinating how this points to a potential disconnect between even the ultra-wealthy and the reality of maintaining these super prime properties. Remember, Candy developed One Hyde Park, a building that's practically synonymous with super luxe. We're talking amenities like a private cinema, a 21-meter pool, even room service from the five-star Mandarin Oriental Hotel.
You'd think he'd factor those costs in, wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah.
this penthouse is enormous, 18,000 square feet, occupying the top 2 floors, 5 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 2 wine cellars. It's like a palace in the sky. But I'm genuinely curious, what does someone do with 18,000 square feet?
That is a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of what these properties represent. It's not just about living space. It's about a statement of wealth and exclusivity. 2 wine cellars, for instance, aren't just about storage. It's about showcasing a curated collection, a lifestyle most people can only dream of.
Yeah, definitely a lifestyle most people can only dream of. So Candy was quoted saying, "I've got a penthouse, and I'm there like 20 days a year, and I pay the service charge like the guy who uses the pool every day." So it's basically arguing that his infrequent use doesn't justify the hefty fee. I get it, £161,000 is a lot of money. But for a property of this caliber, it seems like an expected expense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it does raise an important question about the economics of these super prime properties. Are they purely emotional purchases? Or is there a financial logic at play? What kind of investment strategy would lead someone to buy this, especially when they're barely spending any time there?
Well, if you're wondering what this palace in the sky could be yours for, he's asking a cool £175 million. If it sells, it'll shatter the UK record for the most expensive apartment ever sold. The current record is a neighboring penthouse in the same building, which went for $140 million back in 2014.
Wow, those numbers are mind-boggling. But they also highlight the rarefied air of this segment of the market. This isn't just an apartment, it's a trophy asset, and it speaks to a specific type of buyer. Someone for whom cost is almost irrelevant, compared to the prestige and exclusivity of owning such a property.
Yeah, I mean, this penthouse is decked out too. A cocktail bar, a pool table, a home cinema, 2 studies, a private spa, a gym, even forest granite countertops. It's like they took every luxury amenity you could imagine and crammed it into one apartment.
Right, it's all about creating an experience, a self-contained world of luxury. And this specific combination of amenities really speaks to the target buyer, someone who wants to entertain on a grand scale, who values privacy and security, and who sees their home as a reflection of their success and status.
So it all sounds incredibly lavish. But here's another twist. Candy doesn't even live there. He actually lives in a £75 million mansion in Chelsea with his wife, singer and actor Holly Valance.
So even for someone like Nick Candy, there's a limit to how much opulence you need on a daily basis. Perhaps that $75 million Chelsea mansion feels more like a home, while the penthouse is more of a statement piece, an investment, or a place to host the occasional lavish party.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. What does this sale, or even the attempt to sell at this price, tell us about the London luxury property market?
Well, it's a fascinating microcosm of the broader trends. On one hand, you have this concentration of extreme wealth, a global elite seemingly unfazed by market fluctuations. They're looking for unique assets, trophy properties that transcend typical market dynamics.
But on the other hand, we're hearing about rising interest rates, economic uncertainty, and whispers of a potential slowdown in the luxury sector.
Exactly. So is Candy being overly optimistic in pricing his penthouse at $175 million? Or does he know something we don't? Maybe there's a whole queue of billionaires just waiting to snap up this property.
Maybe. It'll be interesting to see how long it sits on the market and what this ultimately tells us about the future of London's luxury property market. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a bit of a gamble. There's always a market for the truly unique, but even the ultra-wealthy are becoming more discerning. They're looking for value, even at this level.
So what you're saying is, even billionaires don't like to feel like they're overpaying.
Exactly. And the fact that Candy himself is balking at the service charges suggests that. Even he, the developer, is recognizing a potential shift in the market.
That's interesting. So you're thinking about buying in London. Does this story make you reconsider what you're looking for or reinforce it?
That's a great question to consider. I think it highlights the importance of looking beyond the glitz and glamour, even in the luxury market. What are the underlying costs? What kind of lifestyle does this property truly support? And perhaps most importantly, does it align with your values and priorities?
Right. It's not just about the square footage or the fancy amenities. It's about finding a place that truly feels like home. Even if that home happens to have a 21-meter pool and a private cinema.
Speaking of those amenities, I can't help but think about the whole forest, granite, countertop detail. It's like they're trying to outdo each other with increasingly obscure and extravagant
Yeah,
features.
it's like a competition to see who can be the most extra. I mean, two wine cellars. How much wine can one person possibly drink?
It's not just about the wine, it's about the statement. It's a display of wealth, connoisseurship, a lifestyle that most people can only imagine.
It's a world away from my wine cellar, which is really just a shelf in my fridge. Okay, let's play a game. If you had $175 million to spare, would you buy this penthouse? Be honest.
Honestly, I wouldn't. Don't get me wrong, the sheer opulence is undeniable. Waking up to those views every morning would be incredible. But personally, I'd be more inclined to invest in experiences, travel the world, maybe buy a charming villa in Tuscany.
You know what? That's a great point. A charming villa in Tuscany with a vineyard. You could even have your own forest granite countertops installed if you really wanted to. Seriously, though, I think I'm with you on this one. Experiences over extravagance any day.
And with 175 million Rs, you could have an incredible mix of both. A beautiful, functional home that you love, plus the freedom to explore the world and pursue your passions. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between indulgence and intentionality.
Well said. I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners. Even if we're not all in the market for a multi-million pound penthouse, it's worth reflecting on what truly matters to us when it comes to our homes and our lives.
Absolutely. Whether it's a sprawling penthouse or a cozy studio apartment, it's about creating a space that reflects your values, supports your lifestyle, and brings you joy.
And who knows? Maybe somewhere out there, there's a billionaire who's secretly envious of our humble wine cellars and our down-to-earth approach to life.
Maybe they're the ones who are truly missing out.
Okay, so we've talked about the penthouse, the price tag, the amenities, and even a bit of lifestyle philosophy. But let's bring it back to the London property market as a whole. What does this whole Nick Candy saga tell us about the bigger picture?
I think it highlights the ongoing tension between global wealth and local realities. London has always been a magnet for high net worth individuals, and that's reflected in the prime property market. But as we see with Candy's penthouse, even at the very top end, there are signs of a shift.
What kind of shift?
Buyers are becoming more discerning, more aware of the economic climate, and perhaps more conscious of the optics of excessive wealth.
So are we saying that the London luxury market is heading for a downturn?
It's too early to say for sure, but I think we can expect to see a more nuanced market in the coming years. One where trophy properties will still command top prices, but where buyers are more likely to prioritize value, sustainability, and a sense of connection to the community.
So maybe those forest granite countertops won't be such a hot commodity after all.
Perhaps not. Ultimately, the London property market, like any market, is about supply and demand. And right now, there are signs that the demand for over-the-top extravagance might be waning, even among the ultra-wealthy.
That's some insightful analysis. So for our listeners who are actually in the market to buy property in London, what key takeaways should they keep in mind?
I would say focus on your personal needs and priorities. Do your research, and don't be afraid to negotiate. Whether you're buying a studio flat or a penthouse, it's important to make informed decisions. And find a property that truly aligns with your lifestyle and your budget.
Sound advice. And remember, even if you can't afford Nick Candy's penthouse, there's a perfect London property out there waiting for you.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right fit.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right fit. And, I think what strikes me most about this whole story is the contrast between this world of billionaires like Nick Candy and, the average Londoner trying to get on the property ladder.
Yeah, it definitely puts things into perspective. I think it's easy to get caught up in the extravagance and forget that for most people, even buying a modest flat in London, it's a huge financial undertaking.
Right. And while we're all, dreaming of forest granite countertops and private cinemas, there are some real challenges facing the London property market. Like affordability, housing shortages, and the impact of rising interest rates.
Absolutely. And I think, those are the issues that really matter to most Londoners. And it's important to keep that context in mind, even when we're discussing this high-flying world of luxury real estate.
So for our listeners who are facing those challenges,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them as they navigate the London property market?
I would say. Stay informed. Be realistic about your budget. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. Maybe that means looking at up-and-coming neighborhoods, considering a shared ownership scheme, or exploring alternative living arrangements. You know there are options out there, even if they don't involve a penthouse overlooking Hyde Park.
Great advice. And remember, finding the perfect London property is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Patience and persistence are key.
Well, on that note, it's time to wrap up this episode of London Property Digest. We've gone from billionaire penthouses to practical advice for everyday Londoners. It's been quite a deep dive.
It has been. And I think it's a reminder that the London property market is a complex and ever-evolving landscape with something to offer everyone, regardless of their budget or lifestyle.
Perfectly said. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey.
It's been my pleasure.
Subscribe to London Property Digest for the latest updates on the London property market.